Hello everyone, welcome to this tutorial for my victorious and confident arrangement of the patriotic hymn, Battle Hymn of the Republic. In this tutorial, I'm going to go over any potential trouble spots and give you some insight into my thinking as the arranger. So when I set out to arrange this one, I thought, well, I definitely want to make it something that suits the song really well. Obviously, this is a patriotic song, and we're used to hearing it performed by like military bands, and we usually, I think, associate it with a kind of militaristic style of music. And so I didn't want to get too extreme in my creativity. I didn't want to repackage it completely so that it felt totally distinct from that. I wanted to give a little nod to that association that we have with this hymn. But I also wanted to bring something fresh to it. And I wanted it to be something that was fun to play, fun to listen to, something that was very joyful, something that was still very kind of triumphant and victorious feeling, but yet also very versatile. You could use this in a very patriotic setting, but you could also use it in any other kind of setting, and it would feel appropriate for it. So I ended up giving it a very 6/8 feel, a very dancey, a very flowy kind of feel, and I came up with this little riff. That I thought suited all of these factors really well. And it just so happens, because originally I came up with that and I thought, oh, I think that's perfect. And I was going to put it in as, the introduction and the little riff that would sit in between verses and refrains and things to kind of be the transitional musical idea. But as I was working on it, I was like, I think this idea could work underneath the melody of the refrain. So, I was like, yeah, that works. So, a little bit of workshopping, and I was able to just make it fit. So, and it actually ended up turning into something, it's one of those experiences where you set out to make something. You don't know how it's going to go. You're exploring, you're inventing, you're workshopping, and then you come up with an idea, and you're like, I think that's a good one, and then you start workshopping, and then it turns into something so much bigger than you even originally anticipated. So, all right. So that was the thinking behind it. I then needed to figure out how to create contrast, something fresh for the verses. How do I open the song? So I thought, let's keep a kind of flowy vibe going. We can do a figure like this, but it's boring to just go. So I actually have that figure starting on the fifth of the chord rather than the root of the chord. And that presents a pattern that's shaped like this. It starts here. And that presents the first potential challenge, I think. It was certainly a challenge for me when I was practicing and getting it ready to perform for the demo. And that's that we, especially sacred pianists, are used to playing either the root note first and then flowing up from there, because our ears naturally want to hear the root of the chord right on the downbeat, or we just play block chords. And to start in the middle of your hand, in the middle of the chord, is a little counterintuitive. But it fits well in the hand, and there's not anything like technical about it. So I think with just repetition, if that is a challenge for you, repetition will get it for you. You can always slow it down if you need to, play with both hands at a slower tempo. But honestly, for me, it was just repeating that pattern for, several times each time I sat down to practice the arrangement. And then before I knew it, my hand was naturally doing it, and I didn't have to think about it anymore. Now, with that sort of counterintuitive left hand part, matched with the decorative elements, these grace notes in your right hand, that also presented a challenge for me because it was forcing my brain to think about decorative elements that sort of sit outside the meter. You don't want these grace notes to be played in time. They're just decorative, and so you still want these notes to land on the downbeats. So you can easily remove the grace notes if that's proving to be a challenge for you, or you just don't like them, or you want to put them in different places. I view these grace notes as just seasoning, and you're welcome to season to taste. Take them out, move them around, whatever you want. Even add more, whatever you want. I just want you to feel the freedom to do that. Okay, the second challenge is in that first refrain. So the result of putting that riff as the accompaniment underneath the melody is that it presents our first challenge, or our first, not our first, our second or third challenge. And that is that your right hand has to play the melody while sharing some of the accompaniment at the same time. So the accompaniment is going like that, and then you got the melody like that. So the only challenge that it presents is that you're going to have to do a little bit of fancy finger work. And I do list out the fingering, you can see it here, that I use, that I suggest you use. You're always welcome to change it, but this is a good starting point. And with intentionality, with the fingering, practicing the fingering, thinking about the fingering, it's really not difficult to play. It just requires that extra step and as you're practicing. So I'll take it slowly, and I'll just take the right hand and demonstrate. So the third finger goes here instead of the fourth, and that positions you for this movement. And you do have from I'm gonna have to turn a page here. From that last note, the C is being played with your pinky finger right here, to the downbeat of measure 21. It's also the top note being played with your pinky finger. And that sets up this movement that goes like that. It's the same finger. And that's hard to play that legato. But your first finger is on an E flat when you hit those notes and can move seamlessly to the downbeat of measure 21 on these notes. And that can provide the kind of legato glue. Because these notes down here don't have to stop sounding. Even though this one does have to stop sounding in between playing the two notes. With a little bit of practice and intentionality, that too is not difficult to play. The rest of it is pretty self-explanatory, and then you get to the last page and you have these big movements in your left hand. Like this. And this is the first time in this arrangement where your left hand is playing something that doesn't just kind of keep it in a home base. Like that, or just sort of sits here. It can play the figures all in one spot. Now you're having to go like a stride piano style thing, like a ragtime almost. And the best way I know how to practice that is to take your left hand by itself for a minute. And as you move from one position to the next, bottom, up to the top, bottom, try to get your hand to the shape of the chord or the octave that it's going to be playing when it lands in that next position early. Try to get it to that, like as you lift off this chord and you're going to another octave, you get it into that shape before you land. Now we're going to be moving back up to a chord, so as soon as we let off the notes, we get it into position. That just helps. It keeps you from that moment where you're like looking at the next beat where you're supposed to be playing and your hand isn't in position, and so you've got to like, oh, what's the shape? And then this all happens in split seconds. And I just found that little technique helped me when I was learning this style of playing. The other thing is, don't jump up. Your left hand isn't an acrobat. This isn't a circus. So keep your hand close to the keys. There's no reason to bounce it up. That's extra energy, extra time. It's unnecessary. If you get really comfortable and good at it, then you can kind of go Liberace on it and get really bouncy. But while you're still learning it, keep your hand close. And then obviously just go slow. There's a grandioso tempo marking here. So if you're having trouble with it or you're just learning it, make that super grandioso. Make it super slow. That's an exaggeration. But maybe you do want to play it that slow. Certainly you can as you're practicing. Okay, that's it. I hope that was helpful, and I will see you in the next tutorial.